The echoes beneath Lake Valen. The first time the lake called her name, it was almost gentle. Mara was standing at the dock of Lake Valen, the morning mist curling around her legs, the water still as glass. The sound had come from deep beneath the surface, soft, distant, yet unmistakably human. She thought it was just the echo of the wind, but the whisper carried her name again, clearer this time. Mara. She stepped closer to the edge, peering into the dark water. The reflection was strange, not hers exactly, but something distorted, a face that smiled when she didn't. The ripple spread slowly, unnaturally, like fingers reaching for her reflection. A cold shiver slid down her spine, and she backed away, her breath fogging in the chill air. It had been 3 weeks since she'd moved to Valen Hollow, a small lakeside town that didn't appear on most maps anymore. She'd come to escape the city, the noise, and the constant memories of her younger brother, Eli, gone too soon, drowned in a lake 3 years ago. But this place was supposed to be quiet, healing. That night, Mara couldn't sleep. The house she rented near the water creaked as if it were breathing. Around midnight, she heard the water again, not waves, but the sound of someone walking in it. Bare feet sloshing, slow and deliberate. She peeked through the curtains and froze. There was someone standing waist deep in the lake. At first, she thought it was a fisherman. But no, the figure wasn't holding a rod. It was just standing there, still as stone. Its reflection didn't match its body. Where its face should have been in the reflection, there was only black water. The next morning, she went to the local cafe, a run-down wooden place called the Driftwood. The locals always stopped talking when she entered. Today was no different. She sat at the counter, sipping bitter coffee, and finally asked, "What's wrong with the lake?" The old man behind the counter looked up from his cup. His name tag said Henry. He studied her face for a long moment before replying, "It doesn't like being talked about." "That's ridiculous," Mara said. "I heard something. Someone, maybe." Henry's expression hardened. "People hear all sorts of things out there. Valen's not a lake anymore, it's a grave. Keep your distance, miss." That night, the whisper came again, closer this time. "Mara, help me." It was Eli's voice. She bolted upright in bed, heart pounding. The voice was clear, calling from outside, near the dock. Without thinking, she grabbed a flashlight and ran out. The beam sliced through the mist, illuminating the rippling water. "Eli," she whispered, voice trembling. The lake shimmered. For a second, she thought she saw him, her brother, standing in the shallows, dripping wet, his eyes hollow but gentle. He raised a hand. "Come closer." Her mind screamed at her to stop, but her heart didn't listen. She stepped into the icy water. It clutched her ankles, cold and heavy. The world seemed to tilt, and the lake's surface rippled like something beneath was moving. "Eli," she said again. He smiled, but it wasn't his smile. The mouth stretched too wide. The eyes turned black. A hand shot out from the water, grabbing her wrist. Another wrapped around her leg. She screamed and pulled back, falling into the mud. When she looked again, the figure was gone. She stumbled back to her cabin, trembling. The marks on her wrist were pale, like frostbite. That night, she packed her bags. But before she could leave, someone knocked on her door. Henry stood there, face grim. "You saw it, didn't you?" She nodded, shaking. "What is it? What's happening?" Henry sighed. "You ever heard of the Valen flood?" He sat down and told her everything. 50 years ago, the original town of Valen was lower, right where the lake is now. A mining accident had ruptured a reservoir beneath the ground, flooding the entire valley overnight. Whole families drowned, trapped in their homes. They said the water filled their lungs before they could even scream. The town was never drained, it became Lake Valen. But sometimes, Henry whispered, the ones who didn't get buried right, they still try to breathe. Mara didn't sleep. The whispers returned, this time louder. Dozens of voices, some crying, some screaming. They came from under the floorboards. The air smelled like wet dirt. She clutched her ears, tears streaming down her face. "Stop!" she shouted. But they didn't stop. They grew louder until the sound became a single, distorted word. "Join!" Suddenly, water began seeping up through the cracks in the wooden floor. It rose fast, pooling around her ankles. The lights flickered. The mirror on the wall rippled like water, and she saw them, the drowned. Pale faces pressed against the reflection, mouths open in silent screams. She bolted out the door into the rain. The lake glowed faintly blue, light pulsing like a heartbeat. At the dock, Eli was there again. But he was wrong, his face bloated, his skin gray-blue. His head tilted unnaturally. He reached out. "It's okay now, Mara. It doesn't hurt anymore." She stumbled backward. "You're not him." He smiled. "Then why do I remember everything you said before I died?" Her legs gave way. Her flashlight fell, its beam flickering across dozens of figures emerging from the lake, men, women, children, all dripping wet, all with hollow black eyes. They moved slowly, dragging themselves onto the shore. Their mouths opened in unison, and from deep within, the sound came again, the word that wasn't a word, the voice that wasn't one voice. "Join!" She ran. Through the trees, through the dark. The ground beneath her feet was soft and wet. When she looked down, she realized she wasn't running on soil, it was waterlogged wood. The remains of the old town. Beneath the trees, she saw rooftops. Windows. Half-buried houses beneath the flooded earth. Hands burst from the mud, grabbing her ankles. She screamed and kicked free, stumbling into an old chapel's ruins. Inside, candles burned though no one was there. The pews were covered in moss. At the front stood a cross made of driftwood, upside down. The whispers filled the air, echoing off the walls. A figure rose behind the altar. It was the same tall shadow she'd seen in her dreams, featureless, dripping, its voice like 1,000 voices speaking at once. "You heard us. You answered. Now you must stay." Mara backed away, her foot catching on a loose board. The wood snapped, and cold water gushed from below. The chapel floor gave way, pulling her under. The last thing she saw before sinking into blackness was her own reflection in the water, smiling. The next morning, the mist over Lake Valen was thicker than ever. Henry stood at the dock, staring at the ripples spreading across the water. Something small floated near the surface, a camera. He picked it up, hands trembling. When he pressed play, the screen flickered. It showed Mara's face, whispering to the camera through dripping hair. "Don't listen to the water." The video ended with a sound, faint at first, then louder, the chorus of voices beneath the lake, whispering his name. Henry dropped the camera. It splashed into the water, sinking slowly. As he turned to leave, the lake rippled again. In the reflection, his own face was smiling back, even though he wasn't.